Joining us this morning is former McKinney Police Officer, current attorney Pete Schulte. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
It seems when this officer in question arrives on the scene that things really start to escalate. Let's take a look at that moment in the video.
Don't make me run around here with 30 pounds of gear on the sun because you want to screw around out here. Y'all keep standing there and run your mouths. You're going to go too.
Now you hear we have to kind of bleep the video there. He's running around, he's cursing. At one point we see him waving his gun. And really, he seems to almost escalate the situation instead of trying to calm things down. I mean, you think when police get to the scene that that's what they're supposed to do, right?
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I mean, the first thing that I kind of saw in this whole video is that the emotions on this particular corporal got the best of them. And when police officers are trained, they're trained to not let emotions kind of control how they make decisions. And I'll tell you, one of the things that surprised me is that he was a supervisor. I mean, he had corporal stripes on. He was the highest ranking officer besides the sergeant who was at another area. And so all the other officers that were around were watching their supervisor. They really couldn't say anything except stand there and kind of just watch what was going on. So,
and the profanity that we hear, uncalled for.
It is. And I'll tell you, when you respond to a loud party and you have a lot of people, I mean, if they don't run, you're wondering what's going on. I mean, that's situation normal. I mean, nothing that would surprise me about people moving and putting people on the ground, putting people in handcuffs. I mean, there's no indication that there's any calls about weapons. Nobody was shot. Nobody was severely injured. This response was, I just think, over emotions taking control.
Watching the video, I cringe when that officer grabs a young girl, throws her to the ground, pulls her hair. And if you listen, let's listen to the video because you can hear her crying in that video.
Hey, Rick, yeah, stand on your face.
Okay, in fairness, she was told earlier to leave. She didn't leave. You can hear her, though, crying there. She's asking for police to call her mama. This girl's in a bikini. It is clear she is not armed. I mean, is this excessive force?
What I will tell you is that I don't see enough on this video to make a determination about whether or not there was reasonable suspicion or probable cause. Those are the legal terms that police need to detain somebody based on what we see on this video. So I'm interested to see what the investigation shows, but I don't believe, based on what I'm seeing here, that this was appropriate. And I think, again, this goes to the emotions. And if she was mouthing off at the officer, I mean, police officers, we can't be offended. I mean, that's one of the training that we have. People are mouthing off to us.
It doesn't matter what she said.
It doesn't matter what she said.
You have to remain cool as an officer.
Right. And if an officer tells you to leave and you're not, you're in a public place, it's not violating a police command to not do that. I mean, as long as you're not interfering. And by the way, interference, speech alone, you can't get arrested for that.
Let's talk about this pool party. We keep saying it was a pool party. I've talked with neighbors in that area, and basically they said that this was a DJ was putting on this party in a public area, but yet the pool, the private pool for the neighbors for that community, was right next to it, and that some of the kids, the teens, were jumping over the fence, were hopping over the fence. Apparently you have to have some sort of key or something to get into the pool area. And the neighbor said that this DJ was putting it out on social media. They said there were carloads of teens that were coming in, and it was some big bash. And that really they kind of felt like their neighborhood pool was being hijacked by the kids.
Fair enough. I mean, and there's a lot of neighborhoods in Collin County, that have these HOA pools that are for residents only. They pay a lot of money, every year in HOA dues to have that pool. And so I think in this particular situation, the police knew that. I mean, they said there's a lot of people that don't belong here, and I think they were describing them. And so when we talk about, the racial undertones in this video, I don't think that the officers were completely racially motivated. I think that was what they were using based on the 911 calls to differentiate between the people they were dealing with. So it looks bad, but I don't think that was the utter motivation for putting the minorities on the ground and not doing anything about the white folks. But, you look at these situations, I mean, this happens. And what you do when you're a police officer, you show up, you figure out who's supposed to be there, who's a guest, and then you start giving criminal trespass warnings, and then you leave. If people come back after warned, you're arrested for criminal trespass. I mean, showing up to a party where they're not supposed to be, you can't arrest people for criminal trespass without them first being warned. And that was, I think, the issue here is that they didn't start that process immediately.
Right, and we have to remember, we're only seeing a snippet of this.
Right.
Apparently police were called there because there was some sort of fight going on. My understanding that it was between neighbors who were at that pool, who were allowed to be at the pool, and some of the teens that had hopped over the fence. And apparently there was a security guard even there, like a neighborhood security guard, who was like, no, you kids shouldn't be here, and that's how the fighting was started, which we don't have video of.
Right, and again, and this is, you know, every time that I'm on the show, we talk about videos that we see on YouTube. You're right, you're only seeing a snippet of what entirely happened. I mean, some of the behavior of the officer with the profanity and some of his, you know, the emotions that I see, I don't necessarily agree with, but we don't have the full story, and that's why I'm glad the McKinney Police Department is doing a full investigation. They need to, and they need to take advantage of this and get in front of this pretty quick.
Definitely a dangerous situation for everyone involved, no matter what.
I would agree.
All sides, if you look at it, even the police officers, the teens, and the neighbors that live there too. So,
I agree.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us. We
Thanks for
appreciate
having
it.
me.